Forgiveness sounds beautiful until you actually have to do it. In theory, it feels noble and spiritual. In real life, it feels unfair. Forgiving someone who hurt you can feel like letting them win. It can feel like ignoring justice, ignoring pain, and pretending nothing happened. So, why does the Bible talk about forgiveness so much? Why is it treated as something essential instead of optional? One of the reasons forgiving feels so hard is because people have a deep instinct for what feels fair. When someone hurts us, something inside says, that wasn't right. We want balance. We want what feels right. We want the scales to even out. That instinct is not wrong. It's human. This is why Peter once asked Jesus a very honest question. Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother who sins against me? Up to 7 times. In Peter's mind, 7 times sounded generous. It sounded spiritual. It sounded like a big number. But Jesus replied, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Jesus wasn't giving a real number. He was changing the whole way forgiveness is seen. Forgiving was never meant to be kept count of. It was meant to become a heart position. Right after this conversation, Jesus told a story to explain why forgiveness matters so deeply. He described a servant who owed a king an enormous debt, so large that it could never realistically be repaid. When the servant begged for mercy, the king did something shocking. He cancelled the entire debt. But the story takes a turn. The same servant then found someone who owed him a much smaller amount. Instead of showing mercy, he demanded repayment and had the man thrown into prison. When the king heard about this, he was outraged. The servant who had received mercy refused to give it. The message of the story is simple but uncomfortable. Forgiven people are meant to forgive. Forgiveness isn't about pretending pain didn't happen. It's about remembering how much mercy we ourselves have received. The Bible doesn't just teach forgiveness, it shows it through real lives. Joseph is one of the most powerful examples. His own brothers betrayed him, sold him into slavery, and left him for dead. Years later, he rises to power in Egypt, and the same brothers come to him, desperate and feared. Joseph had every reason to seek revenge. Instead, he said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." And then there is the most profound example of all. As Jesus hung on the cross in the middle of suffering and rejection, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Forgiveness was offered before apology, before change, and before justice was visible. This is where forgiveness becomes deeply personal. Holding on to resentment can feel like holding on to justice, but in reality, it often becomes a prison. Bitterness keeps pain alive long after the moment has passed. The Bible speaks directly to this when it says, "Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, forgiving each other, just as God forgave you." Forgiveness does not change the past. It does not erase what happened, but it changes what the past is allowed to do to you. Forgiveness is not easy, and the Bible never pretends that it is. But it presents forgiveness as freedom rather than weakness. Forgiveness does not say the pain didn't matter. It says the pain will not control the future. And sometimes, the person who is set free by forgiveness is the one who chooses to give it.